Welcome, Mearabloggers. Today, I'm starting up my draft podcast, my draft coverage. I've got on Tabor Small, president of team player management, a former player at the University of Connecticut, and an expert on HBCU prospects. Tabor, what's up?
Hey, Paul, how you guys doing? I'm doing good. This is an exciting week, so I'm just looking forward to seeing how this weekend unfolds.
Right. Now, I'm glad to talk HBCU prospects because typically when media discusses the draft, they're usually talking about the first or second round. But the HBCU conferences have always put out some good players in the NFL. You represent mostly HBCU players in the NFL and other pro leagues. Tell me about what the HBCU schools have to offer.
Well, they have to offer a lot. I mean, if you look at the all-time leading receiver in Jerry Rice, he went to Mississippi Valley State, which is an HBCU school, and also Walter Payton, who's the all-time leading running back for a good amount of years, who came from the HBCU school. So you have a lot of talent that comes from the schools, that comes from the conferences. They just don't get the exposure that the big-time divisional schools receive. So that's why I'm heavily involved with the HBCU Bowl All-Star Game, where I'm in charge of selecting the players for the game and also contacting all the NFL scouts to come during the week and evaluate the players, just so they can find guys like that are hidden but deserve to get an opportunity. So HBCU, we continue to want to continue to have that game going, annually, just to give those guys the platform where they can get discovered, by scouts. But there is a lot of talent that come from those schools. A lot of scouts feel like it's been down over the last couple of years. But I just don't think that they really gone to the schools like they did in the past couple of years to come and check out a lot of those guys. So that's why we're doing the All-Star Game annually, so we can get all the top 100 players from HBCU to get evaluated. And this past year, we had about, out of 32 teams, we had 25 NFL teams show up and evaluate, and they were very pleased with the talent. So it does show that there is a lot of talent that come from, HBCU. They just don't get the good amount of exposure from the big-time schools.
Right. Now, let's start at the top of the list of this year's prospects. I think it's fair to say that the headliner of the HBCU class this year may be Ricardo Lockett, who's of Fort Valley State. He ran the fastest 40 time at the NFL Combine. What has he presented to scouts, and how does he fit in at the next level, do you think?
He definitely fits in. If you look at the HBCU, especially this year, Ricardo was the highest-rated person to play in the HBCU Bowl All-Star Game. Actually, the highest-rated HBCU player is Kendrick Ellis, a defensive tackle from Hampton. He elected not to play in that game. He was hoping to get an invite to the Senior Bowl or the East-West. They actually ended up playing in the Texas versus Nation game, which Ricardo ended up playing in. So I would say those are the top two guys. Kendrick is projected to go probably second round. I don't see him getting out of the second round. Then you have someone like Ricardo, who's projected to go between the third and fourth round. And you have a couple of top guys, Frank Curse from Alabama, and then projected between the fourth and fifth round. You also have a safety from Tennessee State, and Eugene Clifford, who's a transfer from Ohio State. And a lot of schools that have HBCU players, they have some Division I transfers that end up coming into their school, as Kendrick Ellis, the defensive tackle from Hampton. He was a South Carolina University player that transferred to Hampton. So, but someone like Ricardo, he plays the prime-time position, which is a wide receiver. He has the size and the speed that you look for in a wide receiver. 6'3", 212 pounds, runs in the high 4.2s, low 4.3s. He definitely really opened a lot of eyes at the NFL Combine with his 40 time, and also just his other position in the position dress when he caught the ball and the way that he moved. And he's still a raw player, but he's a very smart person. He's very determined, and I really expect him to do very well at the next level, and given a good opportunity and what scheme that he fits into. But just with those size and speed numbers that you have, you can't teach. You can't teach size. You can't teach speed.
Right.
He definitely would, once he gets to the next level, get more fine-tuned in his route running, and also just separation, a little bit more quickness. Also, if he gets a little bit more better just as far as balance-wise, I really believe that he can be an eventual starter at the next level because he has all the measurables that really look enticing, to teams. So I can see someone like him, maybe the end of the third, fourth round, maybe late fifth, really snagging him in between those rounds.
Right. Now, another speed blazer is wide receiver Jamari Gordon of Kentucky State, who's another guy who can run in that under that 4.4 mark in the 40. What does he present?
Jamari Gordon was somebody that, during the year, he had a good productive year. He's also a good return guy. Just like Ricardo, a lot of teams are looking at Ricardo being as a kickoff returner,
right,
which gives him added value. Someone like Jamari Gordon, who's a little bit smaller, doesn't have the size or that people looking for, but he plays a lot bigger. He reminds me of a Steve Smith. He's very strong going over the middle. He has good hands, and he also is a punt returner. He does punt return and kickoff return, and he's a track guy. So he has the speed. I really like Jamari Gordon as a wild card. I don't think he got too much exposure during the year, but when he went to the HBCU Bowl and did well during the week and caught a touchdown pass in the game, he really opened up a lot of eyes of a lot of scouts. I actually had a recent conversation with him maybe a month or a month and a half ago. More NFL teams are contacting him, and after the game, I know about every single CFL team reached out to him after the game. So if he's someone that can get a good opportunity with a team, and he would make it as a slot receiver. He has to get a little bit more stronger. He's not very strong on the bench, and it doesn't matter what you do if you can't get off the line or get a release off the line. With a lot of these defensive backs, as strong as they are, really manhandling at the line of scrimmage. So he really has to take advantage of his quickness and get a little bit more stronger and take advantage that he's going to be a slot receiver. Because when you go in motion, it helps you get off the line very well. And he does a good job as far as getting open and just making plays bigger than his size. So I think if he get a fair opportunity in training camp, I really believe he can surprise the team that he lands with, because I think he has a lot of ability and he has the speed to stretch the field. And he's somebody that once you get the ball in his hands, he just turn and run and make people miss and make, big plays. And a lot of scouts I talked to really didn't know too much of him during the season. But after, like I said, the HBCU Bowl, he really jumped on a lot of teams' radar because speed really opens up a lot of eyes because it's a speed game. So I'm really hoping that, whatever team that he goes to, that he really gets a fair opportunity, because I really believe, like I said before, he can, really surprise the team to wherever he lands.
Right. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, guys like Prathon Wilkerson, Carlos Silver, and Marquez Gibson, who on the defensive side of the ball do you think is probably the best prospect you can make an impact on an NFL team right away?
Yeah, I believe so. I like the safety from Tennessee State. I didn't do a blog on him, but I like him. I thought he had a real good week. He comes up and hit. I think he has a chance of getting drafted also. His name is Eugene Clifford, starting strong safety from Tennessee State, and he was a big-time recruit coming out of high school, signed with Ohio State and ended up transferring to Tennessee State. I think he has a real good chance to come in and contribute to the team. Also, it's a defensive tackle from North Carolina Central named Terry White. He has real good size, real good speed, really strong. Just need to be more consistent. Need to stay low and do better technique-wise. And also, there's a defensive tackle from Southern University that I really, really like. I did my first blog on him. I'm trying to. His name is Jordan Miller. He's a defensive tackle from Southern University. I really believe he could have played Division I anywhere. He's 6'2", 315 pounds. He ran a 4.9, 4.8 at his pro day at over almost close to 320. He did 225, 37, 38 times. And he runs under 5 flat. He put up Division I measurables. He had 7 or 8 sacks in his senior year. And he did real well. He really dominated the competition during the HBCU Bowl week. And he's somebody like me that's flying under the radar as far as experts, but not as far as NFL teams. I know he took a visit to Seattle Seahawks 2 weeks ago, and he had a couple of other visits. And I know the Pittsburgh Steelers has a big interest in him because of his size and speed. And he's a guy that when you talk about HBCU and top prospects, his name doesn't come up too much. But I really believe on draft day, people really want to find who he is, because I really believe he has a good shot of getting drafted in a late round. He's a good character kid also, come from a good two-parent home family, works very hard because character piece is such a bigger piece of evaluation, but if you match that with his measurables and his production on the field, to me, he's somebody that I think teams, around that 5th, 6th, 7th round, see somebody like him they will be wanting to draft.
Right. Now, let's play devil's advocate here. There's no doubt that these prospects, especially the defensive backs and wide receivers, possess the physical tools to the next level. But if I'm an NFL GM, why would I take a risk on a guy who's played at a D2 school, not just an HBCU school, but maybe a D1A school or D2 school, who maybe hasn't faced the sort of talent that you're going to face in a Division 1A program? Why take the risk on a player who, could be shell-shocked when he sees, at the next level, the talent he hasn't been facing in college? I think people do across the country, come up with that question. What would you say about that?
Well, I would say that, pretty much across the board, all GMs or whoever show interest in HBCU, or not even HBCU, but players from Division II, 1AA, if you're going to select a player from that conference, you want him somebody that's going to dominate. You don't want an average or okay or just a good player or just an all-conference player. You want someone that dominated the competition at that level, because that shows that that you're the best at that conference and at that level. In the NFL, they want the best of the best. They don't just want the best. They want the best of the best. So if you're someone that comes from a lower level school, you really have to dominate the competition. And when teams, see that, sometimes you can be somebody that can contribute right away, or you can be someone that becomes a project for them, and they'll draft you maybe in the 4th or 5th or 6th round and develop you more, or they can see you as coming in right away. So that's just pretty much how I look at the process. If they are going to take someone, at that level, the person definitely, like I said before, had to, pretty much dominate the competition. And they're just somebody that have to be a right fit for that team. Every team evaluates players differently. It's more than just talent. It's scheme-wise, it's character-wise, it's, how does he, pick up the offense, defense. So there's a lot of things that goes into play and picking a player. But if they are going to pick a player that comes to that conference, they have to do that extra evaluation, talk to coaches, talk to high school coaches, talk to teammates, and really do their homework when they are going to pick someone that's, at a lower level. And you do that with all processes, but with division, lower round, you have to do a little bit more extra, because you don't get the exposure on a lot of these players, so you have to learn a lot more about them, just to, feel comfortable picking guys that come from that level.
Right. Now, also, you mentioned it earlier, the HBCUs have put a lot of great players in the NFL. You mentioned Walter Payton and Jerry Rice, but, also Steve McNair, Shannon Sharp, and of course, Doug Williams come to mind. As a representative, of a lot of these players, or just, being involved with them, how important is it for, you think, the athletes or this year's class to represent, HBCU schools as a whole?
It's very important because if you look at last year, only 2 got drafted, and both of them played in the HBCU bowl game last year. And I think maybe about 18 and 19 signed free agent deals. So for this year's class, it's a lot more talent this year than it was last year. Nothing against last year's class, but it was a lot more talent than we could tell, because with the HBCU bowl, we had to expand the roster to get more guys that were legitimate NFL prospects into the game. And when we was at the game this past year or during the week, a lot of scouts really was pleased with the talent. They really liked the talent this year. I expect more guys to get drafted. I think more guys have more of a shot to get drafted this year than it was last year. Last year, like I said, it was only 2. This year, it could be around 10 or a little under 10 or maybe more. But maybe close to 10 guys that get drafted and maybe more. And I really expect a lot more guys, hoping that they get this labor deal done, they'll be able to sign prospects after the draft. That will really, help as far as, helping out HBCU players for next year.
Right.
With the talent that come out this year, hopefully the numbers look pretty well as far as who gets drafted that comes from the schools. And I definitely, like I said, expect it to be more than 2 players that got drafted last year. And that definitely, like I said, really would, just help out for next year's class and just, really spark some more interest from a lot of NFL teams to continue to show that you have to continue to go to those schools or really consider those schools to evaluate. Because the scouts, they all know who the top players are. They really earn their money on hitting gyms, guys that go out of nowhere, late-round guys, party free agent guys. That's when you really have to do more work, and really that's how scouts really kind of earn their stripes on later-round guys, because anybody can evaluate first-round talent and knows how good he is and how well he can play, and a lot of people who are considered experts, or not, they can't really tell that, but they really earn their stripes on later round guys and hitting guys, and that's how you really can make more of a name in this business, finding guys like that.
All right, Tabor, appreciate you coming on the Mearablog Podcast. Good luck to you and all the prospects that will be representing the HBCU this weekend in the draft, and good luck.
Okay, thanks, Paul. I appreciate you having me on. Good luck to you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.